settling is just another form of quitting.
Agent Power Huddle is a daily jumpstart, giving you all the tools you need to create an amazing real estate career. Led by top experts in the field, you'll learn how to sell more houses in less time while creating the life you want. Welcome to the Agent Power Huddle.
All right. Welcome, everyone, to the Agent Power Huddle Mindset Monday. My name is Barry Overton. I am in Denver, Colorado, and excited to be with you here today to talk about a topic that, really true. I mean, we are in that moment of the topic, and it's defeating the Monday blues. We're going to talk about that here shortly. First and foremost, I know many of our viewers and part of the Agent Collective are coming right out of California. And man, if anyone has some reason to have some blues on Monday, is California. I mean, you had a hurricane coming through, 26 years since you've seen something like that. And on top of it, an earthquake, a 5.1 earthquake at the same time. That rocked parts of Southern California. So again, my prayers are definitely to families and folks that are out there. But it definitely seems like the worst is over with the weather part of things. But again, it was one of those things that let me kind of reflect on yesterday in regards to Monday and how we look at Mondays. And I always go back to a time when I was a police officer, and I used to have the weekends off. And, when you hit Friday, you're elated, you're excited about going into the weekend. Saturday is typically a great day of, being with family, barbecuing, cutting the grass, whatever the case may be, but you're not at work. Sunday rolls around and Sunday morning is really great. But then it gets into the afternoon, the late afternoon, into the evening, and you realize Monday is coming. And it sets in just like that. Dun, dun, dun. Monday is coming. And again, we get into that place of having the Monday blues in regards to it. Well, over the past few years, especially since being an entrepreneur, I've taken a different perspective in regards to Monday. I look at every day. I get excited about every day of the week, no matter which day it is. And I'm going to share a few things that I learned along the way that helped me to get to that point. And, like I said, being a police officer and knowing that I'm going back into doing my job on Monday, there was a certain amount of depression or just melancholy feeling that came across me on Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, and then going into Monday and realizing when Monday got here, I was not happy about it. And I eventually learned to change my thinking, even while I was a police officer, because these were things that I learned before becoming an entrepreneur that I was able to apply as being a police officer that helped me to take a different view in regards to Monday. And by doing that, it helped me to take a different perspective and a different view on every day of the week and every circumstance that may come up. I can tell you, yesterday, still there was now being human, I still have those feelings that come across me. But at the same time, I'm in a place now where when I recognize those feelings, I make adjustments. I looked at my calendar for today. I knew I had the Agent Power Huddle and I need to prepare for this. I have a Bible study after this. I have a few different appointments throughout the course of the day, on top of having 8 properties under contract and 4 other listings and working with buyers. I have a full plate. So when I started looking at Monday, it was looking very overwhelming. And it was very easy to kind of get into a negative place with that. But again, because of the conditioning that I've put myself through, now I understand the moment I start to feel that, I have to make some adjustments. So the first thing I think you have to be able to notice is that, number one, we're all born with a negative bias in us. And what I'll share about that is we're apt to think more negatively than positively. You think about when we look at the news or when we see different things on social media, whatever the case may be, and if it sounds like there could be there's a situation that's going on, and it could be a good outcome. It could be a negative outcome. In many instances, most people will think of the negative outcome first, and so we are conditioned from that, and that it's really something that's been in our DNA. It goes back to really the beginning of time, to the age of cavemen. I mean, if you think back during that time, there was a realistic fear that cavemen were presented with. There were, saber-toothed tigers. There were enemies. There were threats that they had that, again, they couldn't look at a saber-toothed tiger and think, oh, I'm going to make that a pet. That's something I'm going to cuddle up with at night. Because no, that saber-toothed tiger looked at them as dinner or lunch or whatever the case may be. So there was a realistic threat that when a caveman saw a saber-toothed tiger, they instantly went into a place of a breathing heavy, a faster heart rate. They started sweating. Again, all the physical aspects of what we feel when fear starts to take over in the body, and then it causes a response of some sort. Now, obviously, over time, the caveman learned how to defeat and conquer a saber-toothed tiger. All right. But I want you to think about this for a second. If there's anyone on here right now that would just kind of like to come on and be my co-host and share this platform with me, just go ahead and raise your hand right now and jump on. Let's do half of this presentation I'm going to do together. Anyone. I want you, and that's great. That's exactly what I was expecting to happen, because what happens in that moment is I'm asking you to join me on stage, so to speak. And one of the biggest fears, an unrealistic fear that we all have, even myself, is a fear of public speaking. But again, the saber-toothed tiger is that fear of a realistic fear that's right in front of you. But we have all these different unrealistic fears that we have to deal with on a daily basis. Being a public speaker or public speaking is just one of those. But I can tell you this, that going into Monday, there were certain things, whether it's a fear or whether it's something that you really don't want to have to deal with or you don't want to have to face. There are things that we come across throughout the course of our week. And usually we have to deal with them on Monday because, again, the weekend is kind of that time off. And then you have to, that's why they always say Monday is our busiest day of the week, because the things that were put off during the weekend have to be tackled then. But we have to change our thinking around that unrealistic fear, because if you go back to when I just asked who would join me on stage and take over and do half of this presentation with me, again, there was probably some maybe not the sweating that quickly, but there was an instance of, the heart rate may have gone up a little bit. The breathing may have picked up. Again, the same things of fear of a saber-toothed tiger that are very realistic hit you in an unrealistic situation. And that's just one example of those areas where we're affected. And again, it's that negative bias that we have, because what are we thinking? We're not thinking, oh, this is my opportunity to kind of share my thoughts and ideas and help and inspire other people. No, we're thinking, I'm not prepared to do this. I don't want to embarrass myself. I don't want to stumble over my words as I'm speaking. I'm not going to do that. So again, we go into a negative place of what we're thinking. So that's one of the main areas we have to be able to shift our thinking in regards to having that negative bias and being more positive about that, the day and what's ahead for us. I can tell you, for me, one of the greatest lessons that I learned in regards to being able to change that negative bias is gratitude. And being able to not think of the whole aspect of I have to do the Agent Power Huddle today. I have to talk to my clients today. I have to go to Bible study. No, it's I get to. I get to do the Agent Power Huddle today. I get to be in front of these smiling faces and share, some words of wisdom and inspire and impact other people. I get to go to Bible study to get more knowledge for myself and strengthen my relationship with God. I get to talk to my clients to make sure that everything that they need to make this a successful closing, to make this a great opportunity for them, all those things are achieved. So taking a different mindset in regards to what you have to do and what you get to do is a big part of just being grateful. And probably the best lesson that I learned from this was, again, going back to Monday. We're talking about defeating the Monday blues. And how I got to the point of being grateful for Monday is a friend of mine said, "Hey, I want you to remember something. Last Monday, that was somebody's last Monday. They're not here anymore." And in that moment, it made me understand, man, I got to be grateful for the moment. I got to be grateful for Monday and what we have today. I got to be grateful for the fact that I'm so busy in real estate right now, but I'm grateful for it because I know that there are agents out there that are trying to put just one deal together. So being grateful for the things that we, in many instances, are upset about, or we're frustrated, or we're overwhelmed with, and being able to look at those things from a gratitude perspective. And for me, that has been really one of the best steps of being able to, experience Monday, experience all the days of the week, experience the moments, experience the challenges that come along. Because now I look at, I'm grateful for this challenge. I'm grateful for this setback because what I'm going to learn from it is going to make me better in the future. And it's also going to be something that I can take with me as a lesson that I learned, and I can share it with others so they don't have to go through the same challenge. So again, just taking a different perspective of how we look at Monday. Now, I do seriously want to open it up right now and just see. I would love to know, anyone just want to share what you're grateful for today. Don't be scared. Go ahead, Jess.
I'm grateful to be alive. I'm grateful to have everything that I have. I've been blessed, and I'm glad to listen to your wisdom. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and that's the thing is that, and if we start the day with just thinking about the things that we're grateful for, it instantly makes the day so much better. It puts everything in perspective. And I think, again, that's the first thing when your eyes open in the morning, just being grateful to be here. You made it through you made it through the night into another day to be able to, again, have an impact on the world and do whatever those goals and hopes and dreams that you had. You get another day to be able to do those things. So that's really one of the easiest things for me is the first thing waking up in the morning. I can tell you, I have torn meniscus in both knees. I've had it. I'm 50. I'll be 55 in November. I have had torn meniscus. The first one I tore probably at the age of 30. So 25 years of dealing with torn meniscus. I'm at the point now where I'm bone on bone, and I have good days and I have not so good days in regards to just being able to be mobile to a certain degree. But, I can tell you, I've made some changes from a dietary standpoint. I've made some changes, just in regards to what I'm doing from a working out. And my knees now feel better. Part of it is because I've lost 15 pounds in about the last 6 weeks or so. And so it's less stress on my knees. But when I stand up, I'm grateful for not having the pain in that moment. So you see, it's really the little things that can turn into very big things for you, just being grateful for. So again, grateful will lead to more happiness in regards to the current situation. So one of the other aspects I want to talk about in regards to this is procrastination. I think procrastination, we say what's the biggest nation in the world? Procrastination is, because there are procrastinators all over the world. And I think when you understand that we live in this world of procrastinating about different things because we don't want to face, those things. And, I talk about this quite a bit because I recently have come across, where I've had conversations with people, and they're saying something about someone being a procrastinator, someone that procrastinates all through life. Well, we look at those, again, it's a negative word. We look at people that are procrastinators as being lazy, or someone that, doesn't want to do the work, so to speak. What I look at procrastinators as being as someone that is uninspired, someone that is in a place where whatever it is that they have in front of them, the task at hand, is uninspiring to them. Because see, I can tell you that if they said, hey, we are giving away $100,000 to anyone that can come down to the municipal building in your city today between 9 a.m. and 12 p.m. Anyone that shows up, you're getting $100,000. Well, there's going to be some motivation behind that. There's going to be some people that would have probably stayed in bed because they didn't have anything that inspired them to get out of bed. But now when you dangle the carrot, so to speak, when you put something out there that motivates people and that inspires people, then you get action. So again, procrastination is not necessarily, the work of just lazy people. It's more so people that are uninspired by what the current task is. So once again, that's one of those areas where you have to be able to inspire yourself. You have to be able to tap into this yourself. I'm going to share with you a couple of different stories of where I've experienced this and where I've seen this actually in effect with people that have created a mindset of being able to inspire themselves. And I think that's once you understand what the procrastination is, and once you understand what moves you, it becomes a lot easier to break out of the procrastination piece. Because you think about it, we're going back to, defeating the Monday blues. A lot of it is, as I mentioned a minute ago, I have all these tasks to do. It can feel very overwhelming. When it's overwhelming, you start to want to shut down and not do anything. And so I want to show you how to be able to break out of that. Or when it's just something that you don't want to do, it becomes very easy to just not do it. Find another reason to do something else, find an excuse to do something else. But what I look at is with procrastination. One of my mentors is a former Denver Bronco, two-time Super Bowl champion with the Denver Broncos, Rod Smith, guy that has 3 business degrees. And we were doing a network marketing company. It was a coffee distribution business. This was about 10 years ago. And I saw this guy retire from the NFL with tens of millions of dollars in the bank and attack this business like his life depended on it. And I asked him the question. I said, what is it about this opportunity? You're well off. You're set. Why is it that you run at it the way that you do? Why are you so successful with this and so quickly? And what motivates you when you don't have to necessarily do this? And one of the things that he told me that stuck with me, obviously, until now, is success. The quote he said was, "Successful people create the conditions in their mind in order to succeed." And what I understood about that, as he explained it, he told me that at 12 years old, when he was growing up in Texarkana, Arkansas, in the projects, he was standing there in the projects, kind of looking at where he was living, and he knew that he wanted to change those conditions. The other part of so he got to that point where he did change those conditions, getting into the NFL, retiring with a great career. But you would think at that point, retirement, you kind of, okay, I've made it, I've achieved it. And now I can just sit back and rest on my laurels. Well, not him. So it was creating a condition in his mind in order to continue to succeed. And what that condition was, is he told me about, there was a show called the Inside the NFL. On that show back in the 80s, they used to have a segment called Where Are They Now? And typically on that segment, they would have former NFL players that maybe they suffered, medical issues, maybe they suffered different physical issues, but then some of them were also, they were showing them from a place of destitute and financially they were in really bad places. And Rod looked at that and said, I am never going to allow myself to be on that show. I'm never going to be in a position where I don't have the money that I built. So it means that I have to go out and still create revenue streams for myself. So the condition in his mind that he created is the coffee business that he was doing. He said, I have to be successful in this particular business in order to keep what I earned over here. Now, that wasn't the reality. That was not, the situation at all, but it was the condition in his mind that he created to say, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep doing what I need to do to be successful. So again, successful people create the conditions in their mind in order to succeed. This helps you to break through those aspects of procrastination. I want to give you one other example of that. Guy named Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was infamous for really creating conditions in his mind in order to succeed. If you ever saw the show, The Last Dance, there were multiple situations that they share in regards to how he got himself up for an opponent. And when you become, touted as the best NBA player of all time while you're playing, again, it's very easy to sit back and say, I don't have to do a whole lot here. I'm already on the mountaintop, so to speak. But again, this was something where he created those conditions in his mind. So one example, there was a kid that played for the Washington Bullets. His name was LeBradford Smith. He was a second-year player. The Washington Bullets were in Chicago playing Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls. And LeBradford Smith had a career game in his second year in the league. He scored 37 points against the Bulls and Michael Jordan. In the meantime, Michael Jordan had an off night. He didn't have his best night. And so as they were, the story goes, as they were walking off the court, LeBradford Smith kind of looked Michael Jordan up and down, smiled at him and said, "Good game, Mike," and kind of condescending. And so Michael Jordan went into the locker room. He told his teammates what occurred, and he said, "Oh, he's going to pay for that." And the bad thing for LeBradford is they played in Chicago, and on this night, the following night, they were flying to Washington to play again, and now Chicago was going there. So they played back-to-back nights. So the second night that they're in Washington, remember, LeBradford Smith in his game against Michael in Chicago scored 37 points for the game. Michael Jordan scored 36 points by halftime because he needed to make it known he was the best player in the league, and you are not going to come into my arena and disrespect me like that. I'm going to show you how great I am. And that's really, the mindset that he took. Now, this is the caveat to the story. Years later, someone asked Michael, because there were rumors, LaBradford Smith said, "Hey, I never said that to Michael Jordan. I don't know what he's talking about." And so it was questioned. And someone asked Michael years later, it was actually on The Last Dance, if LaBradford actually said that. And he said, "No, he didn't. I needed to create the condition in my mind. I needed something to motivate me to go out and have a stellar game." So again, taking something that is not realistic and making it realistic in order to be able to motivate yourself is something that we have to be able to do in our business. This is something that I found that has been, an important aspect of what I do on a daily basis. I've written 3 books, and my first book I wrote in 2020. We're in 2023, and I've written 3 books. And part of the thinking for me is there are things that are right here in my head that I want to be able to share with the world. And for me to think that I have all the time in the world to be able to share this, because tomorrow's not promised. So I can't, procrastinate. I can't say, "Oh, I'll get to that in a few years. I'll get to that when I slow down," because who knows if I'll have the opportunity to do those things then. So again, it's being able to create those conditions in your mind to break through whatever it is that barrier is that you're not necessarily motivated to do, and finding a way to be able to motivate yourself. One of the areas that I want to touch on is, never, we talk about failure, and I look at failure from a standpoint of failure is only when you quit on something. If you're building your real estate business, and you're in a place where you're cold calling, or you're calling your sphere, and you're not having any success with that, that's not failure. I mean, that is, number one, in a place you're doing the work, you're doing the reps, you're staying consistent. And maybe you have a situation where you look at it from an aspect of, you have a deal that is under contract and something falls through and you have to go back on the market. You're out of contract and you have to go back on the market. You can look at that from a place of failure, or you can look at it as a lesson learned as to whatever it was that occurred. I can tell you, I have a house right now where we fell out of contract. We went back under contract. We're on a contingency. The buyers on our property, their contingency fell through. So they just went back under contract last night. So again, it's been a roller coaster ride for this particular deal. But the thing about it is, we're not going to quit. We're going to keep going. The only true way to fail is if you quit on whatever it is that you're doing. So just being able to push through and stay present in the things that you're doing. And I want you to think from a perspective of another aspect of failure is settling. And what I mean by settling is, if we go into a court of law, and let's say you're in a court of law, you're a defendant on a case, and you didn't do it. You're innocent of whatever you're being accused of, but your attorney feels like the evidence is so overwhelming that you may not win this, and you could potentially end up going to prison for this thing that you didn't do. So instead of spending 10 years in prison, your attorney is able to negotiate a plea deal and get you only 1 year in prison. So you come to a settlement. That's what, and I can tell you, being a former police officer on criminal cases, 80% of criminal cases are settled out of court because there's not enough judges that can take on all the cases. So there are a lot of plea deals. There are a lot of settlements that go on in life. But I want you to think about that settlement. Here it is. You just settled for 1 year in prison versus 10 for something that you're innocent of, that you didn't do. Did you really win? No, you just lost a year of your life. And why is that? because your attorney was afraid to take the risk for the true victory of proving your innocence. Your attorney was not willing to go after the win. They instead settled. So I want you to think about it from in our lives. We settle. There are things that when it becomes too hard, when it becomes too difficult, when it becomes too challenging, we will settle on something else that we can attain versus the true victory that we're going after. So using that as a catalyst to, again, work through Mondays, because again, it's during the time of Mondays that a lot of times we can start making negotiations with ourselves in regards to, is this hope, is this dream, is this goal something that I really need to aspire to? So again, never settling. Settling is just another form of quitting. All right, so this 30 minutes always goes so fast. So I actually had a few more that I wanted to share, but we can certainly do that on another day. But I want to thank each and every one of you for being with us today. And go out, crush Monday, have an amazing week, and look forward to hearing about your success soon. All right, take care.
If you'd like more information or to get connected to the Agent Power Huddle, join our free Facebook group. This call was designed for the agents in our EXP organization, but open to any agent from any brokerage. If you're a guest and you're interested in learning more about EXP or our specific resources within the Agent Collective, reach out to the person who invited you to this call to get more info. Produced by the Agent Collective Media Network.